Science Friction. Read the passage, then answer the questions. Amanda, Ellen, Benji, and George have been assigned to work together on a science project. The project is due next week, and they still have not decided on a topic. They are meeting for the 6th week in a row in Amanda's very messy room. Her mother has just made a discovery that might help their science project. Ellen, who doesn't eat bread, has been hiding pieces of bread in Amanda's room each week for the 6 weeks they have been meeting. She went to various clothes heaps in my room and revealed the slices of bread, which ranged from slightly moldy to totally overgrown. Benji picked up the pieces and laid them out on my desk. If the bread hadn't been buried in my wardrobe like some sort of ancient Egyptian funeral offering, I probably would have found it pretty fascinating. I'm sorry, Ellen said again. I'll explain to your mom that this was my fault, and I'll help you clean up your room, okay? If there's one thing I'm really good at, it's straightening up. She looked at me like she expected me to turn her down. She seemed really sorry. Sure, you can help. That would be wonderful. I'll help too, Benji said. George nodded. Thanks, I said as we tackled the top layer. This is great, but we still don't have a project. Sure we do. I was so shocked by the voice, I just stared at George. We do? Benji asked. George nodded and pointed at the bread. Mold, Ellen said. We have a whole display of the stages of mold growth. Yeah, I said. George was right. We had pieces of bread for each week. But is that enough? It was hard to imagine a whole project from some slices of moldy bread. Then I realized it wasn't just mold growth. Look, I said, flipping a piece over. Ellen nodded. Mayonnaise. It's acidic. Yep, we have an example of mold inhibition, too. We just have to figure out a way to display it so you can see both sides. Great, Ellen said, but what if it's still not enough? Oh, there might be some more, Benji said. What do you mean, I asked. Promise you won't kill me? No. Promise you won't make it slow and painful? No. He shrugged. I sorta don't like turkey a whole lot. Oh, please don't tell me you've been stashing meat in my room. He nodded. Where? I sniffed and looked around. Benji pointed at the top of my bookcase. You slime ball, I said. As I climbed a chair to take a look, oh, yuck, there were 5 piles of turkey in various stages of decomposition, laid out from left to right. It was absolutely disgusting. It was also pretty fascinating, and I guess I was relieved to know the smell wasn't coming from my clothes. I looked at George. What about you? Is there anything you don't like? He lifted a stack of books to reveal baby carrots. We got back to work. At 5, I asked Ellen, don't you have a piano lesson? It won't hurt me to miss one. She flipped open her cell phone and made a call. Right after that, George left. I figured he had some sort of appointment he couldn't cancel, but I was grateful he'd help for as long as he could. There was still plenty to do. The rest of us kept working. Just as we were finishing, George returned, holding a beautiful display case with sections for the bread, turkey, and carrots. It even had mirrors in it to show both sides of the specimens. Wow, I said, that's perfect. Did you build it? He nodded. You're a genius with your hands, I said. He smiled. Ellen patted him on the shoulder. And you don't waste time talking unless you have something to say. I'll do the captions, Benji said. He started coming up with these awful puns that made everyone groan. Like spore score a 7 weeks ago, rot and roll, and bacterial girl. But we laughed too, and I knew Miss Adler had a great sense of humor, so I figured it wouldn't hurt to use Benji's titles. Ellen, who had beautiful handwriting, lettered the signs. I typed a report to go along with the display. As we all finished up this project together, I realized I discovered an important scientific principle. It had nothing to do with mold, but everything to do with chemistry. Some elements combined quickly, others combined slowly, and some didn't combine at all unless you mix them together under high heat and intense pressure. Number 6. Why does Amanda say, and I guess I was relieved to know the smell wasn't coming from my clothes? A, because she was happy that her clothes were not as messy and dirty as she thought they were at first. B, because she knew she'd be in trouble if her clothes were messy and dirty. C, because she was worried that something was making her clothes smelly and she didn't want to wear smelly clothes. D, because she knew once they got rid of the turkey, her room would not smell anymore. Number 7. What was the biggest contribution that George made to the science project? A, he was a genius with his hands. B, he realized the moldy bread could be the science project. C, he helped as long as he could. D, he did not waste time talking. Number 8. How do the character actions in this story help to convey the theme of the story? Use at least 2 details from the text to support your response. 9. Who hid the turkey meat? A. Benji, B. Maria, C. George, D. Ellen. Number 10. Read the paragraph. You slime ball, I said as I climbed a chair to take a look. Oh, yuck. There were 5 piles of turkey in various stages of decomposition, neatly laid out from left to right. It was absolutely disgusting. It was also pretty fascinating, and I guess I was relieved to know the smell wasn't coming from my clothes. What does the word decomposition mean in this paragraph? A. Cleanliness, B. Sizes, C. Rotting, D. Gross.